Yeah, about that, I think there's one thing my mother said that I remember to this day. I'm a computer science major, but I've always loved art. I've been writing, like I said, since I was really young. And then at one point, I think about 5, 10 years ago, I told my mom, because she sort of pushed me into the computer science field because I was doing well at it. It feels like this is the field that's going to make you money and everything, but I wasn't into it. And I said, well, if you hadn't done that, I would have been somewhere else right now. I would have been, I could have been a professional writer. I would love my job a lot more. I would be so much better if I had had that education, because I was actually invited to join an English department, like on the second year of college, and I turned that down because my mother wanted me to be in computer science. I regret that to this day. I told her that, and she said, "But Faye, you could not have written these books back then."
Sure.
The
Yeah,
reason your book is so good right now is because you've lived this long, you've been through this much, you have traveled this much, you've learned your life lesson. That is, you, even if you had the education, you wouldn't be able to write these books back then.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Writers Drinking Whiskey, your literary happy hour, the show that tempts fate and the YouTube censors one shot at a time. I'm your host, William R. Hincy, and today I am really delighted and honored to have fantasy author Sienna Frost, who also goes by Faye, and she's the author of the Obsidian Fantasy series, and we are delighted to have you here. Welcome to the bar.
สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Thai, so that is gonna be my greeting.
Good. Thank you for that. And also that leads pretty nicely into I like to kind of start the shows with getting a sense for where people are in the world. So, I know you've just said, you're Thai, you're in and I know from us booking the weird time zones here that you're in Thailand, but maybe you can explain kind of like where you're at exactly and what's the most fantastical thing to ever happen there.
I'm sorry, what was the last question? What's the
What's the
most
most like fantastical thing, like the just whimsical, like
about
the of where you're at in the world?
uh uh yeah, I'm Thai. I'm from here. I was born here. I live in Bangkok right now. This is Bangkok. It's raining. It's raining season right now, so you might hear some thunder. It just started, but yeah, that's why this is about 6 o'clock in the morning, so the light is pretty low. The most fantastic thing about Bangkok, I don't want to say it's the heat, but it feels like everyone on the other side of the world are celebrating the heat right now, right? The summer.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I was reading a tweet from my followers the other day celebrating summer, and we dread that here. But I think that's what a lot of people come here for. It's never cold.
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm sure. I'm
But
sure.
yeah, and another thing would be our food. That's probably the first thing everyone tells me about when I say I'm Thai. I love your food.
Very good, very good. It is good food. I'll give you that. It's amongst my favorites. I think if I was in Thailand or in the US, there's New Orleans with all the Cajun food. Down Louisiana and things. Those two places I would put on 50 pounds within a week. And even with the hot weather and stuff, I was like, I'm just gonna eat the entire day away. So I can see that completely. Awesome, thanks for that. And so I like to start. So I know it's morning for you here, but what are we drinking today?
I'm drinking Thai iced tea right now. I made this 2 days ago, actually. I always make a large batch for my husband and my son as well. So, yeah, what are you drinking?
I am drinking. I need to grab. my whiskey. That reminds me. I have I have my wooden cups for it. I like to drink my whiskey in. I don't know if it tastes
Oh,
better,
that's
but it
cool.
seems, yeah, it seems so fun. I was at we were at it was a Renaissance fair we were at a couple years back, and my wife had a couple cups. I don't know if they're showing on the video right now. They're
Really
not.
cool.
But she has a couple like the mugs, and she would take that and kind of she likes to drink in them. And I was like, oh, I could really use some like whiskey glasses. And the guy's like, I have some, give me your email. We'll work it out online. So I get a couple of those. So I like to just pour in my use. I think this is Irish whiskey that I didn't finish the other night, so I covered it because I can't bear wasting it. So I covered it up, and then now I have that. So I'll have my Irish whiskey, with me tonight. So very cool. So I like to kind of start us off with just kind of getting to know you and kind of your author journey. I like to call it an author journey, like it's the hero's journey, like Joseph Campbell kind of stuff. But maybe you could just tell us, take us on that journey a little bit, like kind of what got you started writing, leading up till today.
Uh, I've always had stories in my head ever since I can remember. I think people call that imaginary friends, having imaginary friends.
Uh-huh.
But
Sure.
I had an entire, I think, fantasy by that time, and probably a cast of 20 by the time I was 8. I started writing, I was about 12. I I I don't think I read like a full novel before that. I grew up with manga, so that's what I was reading the whole time. I always saw my stories like manga pages. And then I think around 11, my friend gave me, they were reading a novel, a Thai novel, and they gave me one. And then I started reading too, and I realized, oh, I can actually read stories like this because I couldn't draw a full manga, but I
Sure.
felt like I could write. I could write them out, and they feel more real. And that's how I started writing. It was entirely for my own, for me to read. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that was the time I started. And after that, I moved to New Zealand alone to a boarding school at around 15. So my stories have always been what kept me from feeling lonely in boarding school because my parents weren't there. None of my family were there. I just went alone. And I moved from New Zealand to the UK, to the US. Uh, every time I moved, it's a new country. I have no friends, and my
Mm-hmm.
characters were my friends. My stories were what kept me from feeling lonely. So I've been writing in the closet for my eyes only for a good 20 years
Uh-huh.
or so. And then back then there was no internet. That
Sure.
was
Yeah.
a long time ago. I'm about to turn 48 this month, so just to let you know, back then
Oh,
there
that
was no
is
internet.
that's
I
funny.
had
I'm gonna
no, yeah, I
yeah.
had nowhere to share my stories
Uh-huh.
to, even if I wanted to. And
Sure.
so about 15, that was internet. And then I got into fan fiction writing because I was really into this manga. It's for a manga, and I started sharing those. I got readers, and it sort of blew up. That was the
Uh-huh.
first
Sure.
time I shared my stories after about 15 years of writing, and it was so successful. It became a trilogy. It started with a chapter of me trying out a chapter, and I kept going, and it became a trilogy of 300K words.
Well,
In the end, it was translated by fans into 7 languages. So I think that fan fiction piece was the most successful stories I've ever put out there, but it happened to be fan fiction. I couldn't do anything with it. But
Uh-huh.
I've I've been through that, and the reason I'm here is because a lot of my fans from that fan fiction space told me that I should try publishing my own story and try to go pro and see what happens. So
Uh-huh.
it was just by the end of that fan fiction trilogy, I started writing originals again, and here we are. I started posting Obsidian um, and on Wattpad because I like sharing my stories for free. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's the most relaxed space, and you get people who just want to read for fun and they devour books like no others because they buy books too. It's not just free
Mm-hmm.
readers, but these are just readers who read so much they would read anything. Like you don't have enough to read, and
Uh-huh.
they
Sure.
like to read stories chapters by chapters. I think that's I love the web novel space so much because I release one chapter at a time, and then you know who wants to do a next chapter and who doesn't, and it's very addictive. And by the end of the first book, I actually finished the story on Wattpad, the first book on Wattpad, and then I still wasn't keen on releasing it, as a published book. But my the fans of the series said they wanted whole book. They don't want chapters on it. They want a printed book. They want an ebook of it.
Sure.
So I compiled that and then just released it. I had no plan, no launch plan whatsoever. It was just
Sure.
I just did this for my readers and said, yeah, you want the whole book? I'll give you a whole book, and I might as well put it on Amazon so anyone can just go download them. It was released for like 199 or something like that. Yeah, so it's thanks to my readers. I'm here because of them. They pushed me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm I'm a I'm gonna say that I'm a straight A student. I don't like to fail at anything. So once I
Mm-hmm.
put my books out there, I feel like it has to sell. And started working on
Sure.
marketing later because it feels
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I gotta ace this too.
Uh-huh. Sure.
So I missed the launch window, but I'm trying to work at marketing right now. So uh,
Right.
I haven't really started wanting to be a professional writer at all. Just one thing led to another, and
Right.
I'm here releasing book two.
Well, oh, and here you are. You know, I loved about that is I like the notion of writing the books that you want to read. You know, it's like sometimes I know some people have like, oh, this is my ideal reader. Um, but I think most, I don't even know if I can put a number on it, but a lot of writers like that stick with it is they're writing the books that they want to read, right? And they get something out of their writing process, and then other people also enjoy it because we're not islands, right? If I like it, someone else out there will probably end up liking it
Yeah.
too, right? And so it's really cool that all of that writing that, like you said, you were doing in the closet, right? You were doing for yourself. Was still preparing you for all of the writing you shared for everyone, right? It was you were getting better writing, you were learning, your process, everything else that kind of led you to that, and that's really neat. I'm with you. I love the and I think probably late on the trend, but the serial fiction that's like on Wattpad, like Substack, and some of these other places. I know I think Royal Road was another one I heard of that people have been doing it on, and there's probably 20 other ones. I think it's really cool that it's kind of making a comeback because I didn't realize that like A Tale of Two Cities started off as a serialized book. Um, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There's a giant list of old books that they teach now, like in universities and things, that actually started as serial fiction, and it's fun to have that. I always think like streaming it misses out on the aspect of like I actually enjoy like I mean the wife and kids would always enjoy a show like okay Thursday we're gonna watch X show. And then all week we would say, "Oh, what do you think?" Oh, we could like sit in your imagination runs, you think about it, and you'd have something to look forward to. So I think it's really cool. I think it's a really fun way to do it. So I appreciate that completely. I did notice because I like to tell everyone I stalk their websites before they come on, as I go on, because you always learn like interesting tidbits. And you had a really nice write up on there. And it was like in the about section. I forget the title of it, and I forgot to write it in my notes, but um, it was really poignant. And one of the things that stood out to me is you had said that you were really stubborn and unwilling to like bend to like society's whims or norms, however you want to phrase it. Um, and so it made you feel, I think, and you've moved, right? Like you had said you got to New Zealand, you went to the UK, so you moved to different countries and didn't know anyone, and were thus truly an outsider. But even like when you were younger, felt like an outsider, even even at home. How did that like inform you as a person, and then later, I guess, inform you as a storyteller?
Well, I feel like because I've been an outcast all my life, I've always like I had problems at school. I was a bully bully victim at school. I hated it, and it feels like it doesn't matter if I bend, if I pretend to be someone else. I have tried. It doesn't work. There would still be people who would stab you in the back. You still cannot trust especially in high school. It's probably the most vicious environment
That's
I've
probably
had
true.
in my entire life. I mean, I the most cruel because they don't know how to handle things.
Sure.
Which is fair, but at that age, everybody, including me, it's
Hmm.
like probably the cruelest version of ourselves.
Right.
And I actually moved to New Zealand because of that, because I felt like I didn't fit in. And I was looking for somewhere to fit in. And I kept moving because I couldn't find anywhere to fit in. And like I said, the only place I felt like I could fit in was in my world, my fantasy world, my stories. So I created the stories for me to live in. And I feel like the only reason my stories have been successful or they touched people is because I was really writing it from the heart. There was no audience but me, like you said. And I finished it because I needed it. And a lot of people feel it. I After 20, 30 years of writing, I can tell you this, right? Readers get it. They feel it. They feel it when you feel it. So because I laughed, I cried, I felt like every character in my book exists. They exist for me. They are the ones I go to when I had nobody, when I was alone in a new country. I talk to them. So they feel real. If they feel real to me, I write them real, and my readers feel like they're real, and they end up
Hmm.
loving most of my characters. They identify with them. They feel like these people exist, and that's been the core of what makes right now what makes Obsidian works, because everyone's staying for the characters. They're not staying for the plot, the stories, not the world building, maybe a little bit, but most people just want to follow these characters. And I'm a pantser. I don't even know where this is leading to. I write one chapter at a time. I'm a web novel writer, and yeah, I feel like that's the because I've been an outcast, and if you read my stories, I write that feeling a lot. Like
Uh-huh.
Obsidian
Sure.
has 7 main characters, and all of them are struggling to fit in. I feel like that's everybody, right?
Hmm.
Even the
Sure.
most popular person probably struggles feeling like they don't fit in somewhere, and they're trying to find their place in the world. And that's mostly what I write about. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that experience of moving, and also I feel like I'm able to write so many point of views. I always write a multiple point of view with a huge cast, and that comes from me having moved from countries to countries, meeting different peoples. I've changed my mind, about certain kind of people that I thought was really bad, and then I became friends with them. I understood them. I feel like, and now I feel like this is everybody is just struggling as much as I am, and they have reasons for doing bad things to me or good things to me. I always give people more chances because sometimes they come from a different culture. They're misunderstood as well. They misunderstood me. I've met racists a lot because I always move to Western countries. I
Hmm.
won't lie. I've been discriminated a lot, but every time I don't turn my back on those people. I try to be friends with them. They end up being my best friends, and that changes their perception of my race as well. And my faith in humanity grows because of that. Because I've met people I hated or who hated me, and then we became friends. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things that I think most people feel they like my book for,
Sure.
because I write villains that they end up being somebody they understand, and they change their mind on that. And
Sure.
yeah, that's
Well, and I think that life experience can really come through, right? We were doing one of these shows. They do open bar where we'll bring back like three or four like past guests and we discuss craft or business, whatever the episode's kind of theme is. And we were talking about authorial voice, right? Just like the voice of the author kind of coming through. Um, and it was a longer episode. I'll link it here for anyone that might be interested. But one of the things that it really made me think about was like I think that's one place you can't fake it. Like that author voice is like your lived experience is coming out. And so you having those experience and those amazing but complicated relationships, right? Where you start off, maybe there's some prejudice or, whatever reason there's tension. And then you become friends after. And you see that a lot in different books and like TV and things where there's like, it can be even kind of a trope, right? Where it's like, especially if it's like a love relationship, right? Like the two that don't get along. But even with friendships, you see that, and you're like when you've actually lived it, that and you're reliving that in that artistic way through your writing. I think it is going to show. So I think that all that life experience, probably really, shines, out, without you even needing to like consciously think about it. I think it's just part of you. So when you write it, it comes out more authentic. So, I think that's really, I mean, it's special. I'm glad to hear that it comes out like that, in your
yeah,
writing.
yeah. About that, I think there's one thing my mother said that I remember to this day. I'm a computer science major, but
Yeah.
I've always loved art. I've been writing, like I said, since I was really young. And then at one point, I think about 5, 10 years ago, I told my mom, because she sort of pushed me into the computer science field because I was doing well at it. It feels like this is the field that's going to make you money and everything, but I wasn't into it.
Sure.
And I said, well, if you hadn't done that, I would have been somewhere else right now. I could have been a professional writer. I would love my job a lot more. Uh, I would be so much better if I had had that education, because I was actually invited to join a English department like on the second year of college, and I turned that down because my mother wanted me to be in computer science. I regret that to this day. I told her that, and she said, "But Faye, you cannot, you could not have written these books back then."
Mm-hmm. Sure.
The
Yeah,
reason
that's
your book is so good right now is because you've lived this long, you've been through this much, you have traveled this much, you've learned your life lesson. That is, you, even if you had the education, you wouldn't be able to write these books back then.
right,
And I
right.
feel like that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
We grow, we that, and I feel like that's the one thing that writers are missing out on. A lot of us are writing at home. We don't go out enough. We don't have enough relationships with people. We don't get our hearts broken enough
Mm-hmm.
because we are
Sure.
always living with our stories. And that's probably the one thing that stalls us from being able to write great stories.
Mm-hmm.
And if when I'm asked to give writers an advice, because I'm a traveler, I'm a big traveler, and that's also a big part of why I can write or I can create such a complex world because I've seen a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my one big advice to other writers. Like, I know we're all an introvert, we all want to curl up in our corner and just write our own world and control that, but a lot of that, a lot of what you can do depends on how much you get out there and meet people and learn about the world. And then your stories is better, your world becomes better, you like it a lot more as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Amen. I think I had this weird notion when I was younger. And I guess I was kind of a problem child, um, but I always wanted to kind of experience all of the emotions, right? I wanted to feel all of the things, you know? And I think, you know, when I say I'm a problem child, probably because I did a lot of, made decisions that probably weren't the safe ones, but they led me down interesting pathways and things. And I, you know, had my heart broken and things and have regrets and all of that. But I think it's harder to write from a real place. It's having experienced that, I think, is better than having gone to school and learned just the craft of it and things, you know, not that, I mean, I have a few friends that went and got their masters in fiction, their MFA, whatever it stands for, um, that are very good writers. But they've also they're the ones that have also had, you know, pretty full lives. You know, so they did that, but they also had full lives to go along with it. Versus I've seen lots of other writers that just did all the schooling and things, and it comes out almost sterile. You know, there's kind of a it seems like an imitation of something rather than, you know, the thing itself. So I think your mom's probably right. Like I think sometimes about that too is I know when she's the book I just finished, that speaking of serials, that I just started serializing on Substack, called Pirates of Appalachia. Um, I started writing that, geez, I think it was 13 years ago. Um, and it, you know, I finished it, you know, earlier this year. And it was one of those things where I was like, as I was finishing it up, I was like, I don't think when I started this that I could have written it the way it needed to be. Like that part of that 13 years, because I was working. We have four kids, with my wife and I, and, you know, busy life and all kinds of things going on. Um, and, you know, I wrote things in between, but I was like, you know, I think all of that is what I needed to actually be able to finish that story. Like I needed that life experience. I needed that, all of that writing I did in between that made me a better writer so that I could get to that end thing. So I think it's kind of neat actually sometimes when you realize like, oh yeah, I wish I could have written this when I was 20 and I would, you know, be so far off. But it's like, oh, maybe I couldn't have. You know, like certainly in that story I don't feel like I could have, right? But you know, it's I think that probably goes quite a bit, is sometimes you write the story at the time of your life when you're ready to write it. Um,
Yeah.
you know, so if you're watching Writers Drinking Whiskey, you believe in the arts and in the freedom of artists to pursue with their stories. This show is about learning the stories of writers far and wide, and now I'd like to tell you about one of mine, Pirates of Appalachia. My epic absurdist satire is now going to be releasing weekly as a serial on Substack. What is Substack, you ask? It's an app where you can sign up and support artists and creators with diverse focuses and interests, from news to podcasts to politics to culture, to YouTubers, and a growing community of short story writers and novelists. It's kind of like an employee-owned business where the bulk of the earnings go to the creators, not the corporate machines. You've heard me discuss pirates on the show over the course of the last 3 years, and I am so excited to finally share this with you. Set after a series of events colloquially referred to in the story as the Trumpocalypse, nations have given way to mega city-states, and they're separated by these unincorporated wilds where all manner of mayhem, mystery, and chaos ensues. And in the grandest city-state of them all, Pittsburgh, a highly contested election season features a sociopathic esports star versus a hulking ex-clergyman to decide who will get to spend the city's debt and be the next goober. If you took one of those How Would Our Baby Look softwares, plugged in Huckleberry Finn and Slaughterhouse-5, and that child grew up to be as fightingly, city-sackingly mad as a boy named Sue, you would have an image of Pirates of Appalachia. Pirates will be free and in its entirety on Substack. So go on there and subscribe to me. You'll get Pirates for free. I will also send you out an ebook that will be for free and for paid subscribers. If you'd like to support the show, $5 a month, you'll also get a free copy of the audiobook of Without Expiration, my American Fiction Award winner, done by a really talented narrator, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it. You'll also get early access to all of these shows of Writers Drinking Whiskey. I'm recorded out months in advance. You will get those way out in advance. And for every 100 subscribers, I am going to be hosting a subscriber happy hour. I'm going to keep this going as long as we can because I'm a drinker and I like happy hours. Come join the community. Support independent storytellers. The link will be in the description and the pinned comment. And if you're not inclined to check out Substack, don't blame you. Completely okay. You can continue to support the show here on YouTube. You can become a member if you like. You can also just continue watching. We will run you a tab because this is Cheers, and we see all of you out there watching as Norm. And we will let that tab run, and we will yell out your name every time you're here and be really enthusiastic about it as we go. Now let's get back to the show. One of the things that struck me too with your thing is with your write-up on the website was, and I don't know if this line was in there. I just wrote down kind of imagination as survival. As you were talking, like that was your friends and things. And so it's almost like writing. And I know some people writing is kind of a bit of therapy. I think at times probably it has been for me as well. But is it kind of a survival technique for you? The writing's kind of like, oh, life's getting hard, or something's going on. I need to just kind of put myself into this world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my safe corner. And that's actually the part I'm struggling with the most with publishing, because that's my safe corner I go to. By publishing it, I'm opening this world to other people. I'm letting real people into my imaginary world. And that's the problem, is when I get bad reviews and people who hate it, I can deal with it, but that taints my world. That leaves a bad taste on my safe place, and I'm losing that by publishing this world, by sharing it. I struggle with the feeling of wanting to pull this book off the public space all the time. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that my readers are afraid of the most if they know me. Because every time I have a little community for Obsidian, and those are readers who have reached out to me, became my friends, they know me. I rant stuff with them all the time. Every time I get a bad review, I said, this is it. I'm not sharing with anybody anymore, because it will end up being me not having anywhere to turn to. And it's rare. It's not easy. Money is easy to find. You can clean toilets and then get money, get paid for it. But having a place to fall back to a safe place like that nobody can touch, that's rare. Not everybody has that. And I have it. And I was stupid enough to share it to the public. I
Sure.
mean it. Sometimes I feel like it's just the stupidest
Right.
I've done. I should not have. And I don't care at all if nobody reads it. I love it that I have readers. It feels like I belong. I suddenly feel like I belong in this world when I meet people who love my book as well, who also feel like these people existed, and it makes me feel better. But in the end, that place, that safe place, is very important to me. So yeah, this is one thing I feel like it might be a mistake. It might be a blessing that it's not a big hit where like millions of people
Sure.
see it. Right now, I actually am afraid of that. I don't know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. I don't know if I can handle it. I have a friend on Wattpad who won an award, a big award on Wattpad. She grew from I think a few 100,000 likes on her stories to like 5 million overnight after she won that award. In the end, she couldn't handle the pressure because there were trolls, and when you get that famous, there will always be trolls.
Right.
And she's very sensitive. That's why her stories are really good. She's very, very sensitive. She's very passionate about her books, and then she gets trolls like probably only one or two people. She's shut down. She hasn't been writing since. She closed down her account. She took all her stories out, and we lost a really strong writer.
Hmm.
Um, she actually got a movie deal out of that too, which she
Right.
turned down because she knows she can't handle it mentally. I feel like that could be me as well if I ever get that famous. I
Hmm.
am not sure if I can handle it, and in the end, I will probably not choose money. I will choose my stories because at this point in my life, I mean, I'm about to turn 50. I'm not gonna live that much longer. I hope I don't live that much longer. But yeah, I mean, yeah, life is a struggle,
Mhm.
and I've
Sure.
done everything I wanted to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's more precious than money,
For
and money
sure.
can be
Sure. For
made
sure.
easier other ways.
Right.
So
Yeah. I think that quite a bit is that it's a blessing and a curse that the arts, it's so hard to make money with them. Because like I think the blessing is that since it's you really need to have the passion for it or else you're not going to stick with it, right? That's why like sometimes when we'll be out, we were out at a quartet, like a violin quartet show, and a friend of ours was like, I'd taken violin up. I wish, my mom had pushed me more and that I was playing now. And I was like, oh, but like lots of people think that, right? And I used to think that about certain things. But I was like, you know what? The girls in the quartet, it's not, they don't actually feel like they have a choice, right? Like they like do this. This is like something they have to do, like to keep their sanity going. For whatever reason, right? There's something that compels them to do this even when it doesn't make money, or you can make money a lot of easier ways. I was like, I'm going to do this very hard way to do it. It's like, people don't willingly choose to do it the very hardest way. That's kind of like writing is kind of that same way. It's like such a flooded,
yeah,
saturated market. And so then you try to do it, and then you can have people, that troll you, or I mean, sometimes people maybe just don't like it, right? I mean, that's also, that's fair to have,
yeah.
someone not like it, but you have to do all of that, and then and the weird shifting publication market with all these AI, all these things going. So if you're doing it, it's for the love of it. And if you're
It
doing it
has
for the money, you usually don't last long because there's not the guaranteed riches in it.
it's it has to be. I feel like there's no other ways to be a successful writer without actually enjoying the writing part. Because this is not programming. It's not math. where you just have to get the numbers right and then everything will work out. You're touching people's lives here with your words. If you
Hmm.
don't feel it, if you don't like, if you're not the biggest fan of your stories, you can't find,
Right.
um, you can't make people like them. And the what made me last this long without acing their marketing part, the numbers, is
Uh-huh.
because yeah, I mean, people feel like I'm successful enough as an indie. I've sold enough. To me, like I said, I'm a straight A student. Selling enough for me would be millions. I'm
Hmm.
still failing right now for marketing part. I have high expectations. I've grown up with high expect. I'm Asian. Come on. we have
Sure.
we have parents that say, why not 100% when we get 99? So
Hmm.
that's common. And that's I'm not happy with where the book is in terms of popularity. I I would still write. I would never ask anybody, should I continue to write? I will always write. Even if I don't publish, I will always finish the story for me. And a part of it is because I think a lot of writers forget that they've had their happiness while they're writing the story. They're, in the end, after the stories get published, they focus on the money, they focus on the copies sold. And when that fails, they feel like they failed as a writer. But hey, look back. Were you not happy when you were writing? Those, I don't know, 1,000. I it took me 7 years to write the first book of Obsidian. I've had so much fun during those 7 years. It doesn't matter right now how many copies it's sold. I've lived those 7 years with being happy. Those you can't take that away from me. If
Hmm.
I
Sure.
die tomorrow, I look back and I'd say I spent those 7 years well. I was happy, and I feel
Hmm.
like that's something writers need to remember. You weren't writing a, a lot of. I think most of us too weren't writing for the money to begin with. We were writing because we enjoyed the stories, and you can't
Hmm.
forget that. And if you keep
Right.
remembering that, you'll never feel like your stories have failed. You've lived, you've spent those. I call it happiness currency. You've spent
Hmm.
those happy
Sure.
hours.
Right. Yeah.
It's not
Well,
a
I
waste.
think there's the
Pay
journey
for
of it.
vacation. It's not a waste. If you pay for a
Right.
vacation, that those years, those vacations are a waste. You don't have money now, but
Right.
you've used it, and
Yeah.
that could keep you going
Hmm.
forever.
Right. Yeah, sure. Sure, I get that completely. Well, I think it's a good way to look at it because I always think it's like you need to enjoy the journey, right? Like so if you're writing and you don't like it, and I know a few writers have said they don't like it, and they're also the ones that then don't write for months at a time, or like, take a couple years off between books and things. And um so it's like, you have to um enjoy the journey and enjoy, sure, enjoy, but then also because I've also written some things that were harder to write. They were a little darker and things, a little more psychological. So I don't know that so it was so enjoyable, but it was meaningful. Right? There was a meaning, it was meaningful for me to be writing it every day and returning to the page. And so I think if you get that out of it, I mean, I also think like you hear these books. There was an old book called Infinity Jest. David Wallace something and Parker. I'm blanking on his last name, but it was this super thick, the book that got super popular. Like I think like in the 90s, in the States here, everyone had to have their copy of it, but no one read it because it was really thick. It was really kind of academic, like kind of writing, like very like it was a fiction, but it had 1,000, it's kind of like Ulysses by James Joyce. It's very dense and you have a hard time figuring out what's happening. Um, And it was like, but no one read it. So he sold, probably millions of copies because it was that thing you were just supposed to buy during that time. But like no one read it. And it was like, well, do you want to sell a million copies? You'll make more money selling the million copies.
Yeah.
What if you sold 1,000 and those people actually read it and really loved it and connected with it, got something out of it? I would rather sell the 1,000, and make less money, but have people that actually read it than people that just bought it because it was the fashionable thing to do and really never had any interest in reading it. And those people that the 1,000 that read it and really connected with it, if you write another book, well, they're gonna like read that book and they're gonna tell
Mm.
people about it and things, and you might actually grow a community. Versus, I always think, and it's part of the reason I'm hit and miss on social media. I get bored with it incredibly fast, and part of it is I think community, like growing a community is exciting and that's fun. But so often I think people just focus on like they want to just have a pulpit to like yell from or like a throne to kind of sit upon, and so it's just kind of me all of the time versus, what can we, do together. So but that, so actually, and I sometimes remember to mention it early, but I'm mentioning it now. So the way I had found you was that I just found your post on X, and I forget what it said exactly, but the sentiment was that you wanted to write. Um, and you can correct me if I mistake this at all, but basically you wanted to write a masterpiece, right? Like you want to write, as best that you can, or something like I guess masterpiece is probably like the right word, but maybe you might have
It
used a
is. It
different
is.
terminology.
It was.
Okay. And so often nowadays, I've even heard like a podcast where they're like, "Oh, you don't need to write a masterpiece. There's already masterpieces out there. Don't bother trying," and that seemed very bleak. And I'm with you. Like my goal is like I want to write a masterpiece, and I'm going to keep trying to expand and get better and at everything that goes into it to try to reach that one day. And it's a weird goal because it's almost like most things I try to say your success, it needs to be the internal, like you decide if it's successful or not. A masterpiece, I do feel like one is like you actually have to get other people to kind of agree. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes they get forgotten, I
Really?
guess, but well, I
I,
don't know. Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
think I don't think Picasso ever needed anyone to agree that his paintings are a masterpiece when he was creating them. I feel like there are people who are business people. I'm a businesswoman. I own a small business, a distribution. I'm in the pet supplies business. I've been running my company since I was 21. So I know a business mindset. You don't need perfection. You don't need a masterpiece to be successful. You need what sells, and
Hmm.
that's the business side of it. Writing is me as an artist. I make money from business. This is about pride. I want to die with a book that I'm proud of, that I feel like I've done my best. I want to leave behind my version of my life's masterpiece.
Hmm.
I don't need anybody to tell me that it is, because it doesn't matter if I don't feel like it is. You can have the whole world telling me this is a masterpiece. If I'm not convinced it is not, I'm not going to die happy with it. So
Hmm.
Obsidian is, I've written a lot of just fun, um, nonsense comedy, just guilty pleasures and stuff. I've done a lot of that, and I wouldn't call those. I don't try to do this for every book. There are versions of my book that is just written. I just tossed out that because I just woke up this morning. I had this story. I want to do that, but that's why it's not published. That's why I share those stories for free. If I'm going to publish, if I'm going to, and at this stage of my life, I feel like I don't have that much time left to play around. and I feel like I'm ready to write the book that I'm proud of. So Obsidian is it, and I don't really care who agrees with me. This is my life's masterpiece. This is what I'm proud of. This is the book I'm going to die with. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to spend 7 years writing it if I want to. I'm going to delete a sentence 20 times just to get it to where I want. But that is also the joy of art, isn't it? You're a writer. I'm sure every writer feels this too. When you can actually turn a sentence into something that wows yourself, that's
Sure.
satisfying as hell. I mean, that's
Hmm.
I don't hate editing at all, but I edit as I write, and I think that's why it's not boring because I'm in that space right now. I have an image in my head that I must describe. I don't need a beta reader to tell me if I match that image. I know. It's like when you paint. I'm an artist as well. It's like when I paint, I have an image of this thing. And I know, you know, if you're drawing, it doesn't match the image in your head. And that's the same thing with writing. I have this, what I feel like a masterpiece in my head. If I cannot describe it, I know. And I can fix the words until it reflects that picture in my head.
Hmm.
And that takes a lot of time. But that is
Sure.
the fun bit. When you actually get the result, I love it. I'm addicted to writing and editing. Like I use this word and then I found a better word. I throw that in that and it's like, oh wow. I mean you
Uh-huh.
felt like that, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Sure.
that
Sure.
is the most exciting part about writing. Um, that's word art to me. So
Hmm.
it's not, I don't just enjoy telling my stories. I like playing with words. I like forming a sentence that I'm praised a lot for my prose, which I'm very proud of, but that came from rewriting every
Sure.
sentence until it rings true. I go back. This is my habit in writing. I write a sentence, I edit, I write the next sentence, and if it doesn't sort of rhyme with the next sentence, I go back and read it from the top. So it takes me
Sure.
a long time to write a chapter. I don't have first draft or rough draft. When I finish a chapter, that is my final draft because I edit as I go. But people say that's going to take unnecessary long. You don't ever need a sentence to be that great. But yeah, sure, to sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
where's my enjoyment in that? I enjoy doing this.
right.
I love the result. My readers love the result. I have comments, I have reviews that say not a sentence was wasted in this book. And it's an
Hmm.
800-page book.
Right.
But it came from the fact that I wanted to do my best. And I'm happy. It doesn't sell millions, but I'm happy with what I've created. And I've that's the feeling I think artists understand, but business people don't.
Uh-huh. Sure. Sure. Well, and I think that's the hard thing about it, right? Is when you become a professional, when you try to professionalize your writing, then there you have to take the business hat in there too. And I don't get it at all actually when people go, oh, it doesn't need to be, why every sentence doesn't have to be that great. And um I look at it like, if you know, if you're like a poet, right, it's like every word they're really like, you're, it's because it's so condensed and it's such a, you know, and so you realize like, okay, I have, I don't know, 20 words. Those 20 words need to be greater than 20 words. They have to like impart something that's more meaningful. And so if you're going to write an 800, you know, page novel, why not try to take that same approach to it? Maybe not as dedicated maybe as a poet that only has the 20 words, but why not that same theory of it is that, yeah, I have 800 pages. Well, I want this to be more than 800 pages. I want this to like, you know, impart a greater meaning than just that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't, you know, I think the writers that don't care so much for like the word, just, ah, it's good enough, it's good enough. A lot of the people that are freaking out about artificial intelligence writing books, I think those are the people that are going to freak out about it because yeah, if you spit out AI, it's good enough. I mean, maybe I don't, I haven't actually seen, I know people tell me some of it's better than others. And maybe if you doctor it up after, I haven't seen anything that wowed me. But I don't believe it's going to have, like we talked about earlier with like your life experience and stuff kind of shining through with the writing. Um, that's also because you spend so much time on the words and getting them correct and forming together. I think of it a lot like sculpting. Like I like the how's the
Yes.
form of that chapter and things. And you start somewhere and you keep kind of, peeling away and adding here or there, whatever it is to get that picture, out that's in your head. And so folks that are just, okay, I'm just going to throw words out. That's good enough, good enough, good enough. And you're just kind of making content and not art. Yeah, that's probably the people that are like AI and things of that nature are going to affect them more.
I do that for business. I mean,
Sure.
I get it because if
Mm-hmm.
that's also why I say I don't want to be a professional writer. I want this to be a hobby, and then I have my money uh, from
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else because,
Sure.
like I said, money is easier to make. I use AI for my business sometimes, like just to speed
Sure.
things up. I have like 1,000 products I got to put out there. It helps. It doesn't have to be top notch. It just has to be
Mm-hmm.
able to sell.
Right.
Uh, and that's what you need to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But um, writing is a hobby, and I feel like I don't want to lose my hobby for money.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many ways you can make money, but not everyone has a hobby that they can rely on and go back to. And you lose a hobby, it's harder to find a new one, right?
Right. Well, it's like people will like they'll go golfing, right? And that's they get out, they get sun, they enjoy it, they try to get better, they spend some money on golf clubs, whatever, right? But they don't all expect to go pro and be like the next, Tiger Woods or something, right? And like but you see that a lot with writers. It's like, well, I'm doing this and I've spent some money. Well, now I need to like go pro, and then they're kind of miserable, from it because professionalizing it, kind of takes some
Yeah.
of the joy away to that degree. So, yeah,
But I'll tell you this, my daughter is a pro golfer.
oh,
She's
okay,
playing collegiate right now. She's a Division 1 athlete, and she's going to, after she graduates, she's going to turn pro and she's going to play on the tour. So she started out, she was 12, and she got good at it immediately. And she set her goal of going pro sort of like from her first competition. She said she
uh-huh,
likes this. But I can tell you this, that to this day, I feel like the only thing that's holding my daughter back from being better is because she's never played golf for fun. It's
sure,
always been results. It's always, I have to sink that putt. I don't think she's ever enjoyed walking the golf course like a weekend golfer.
uh-huh,
She's always focusing on her scores. And the greatest thing about golf, and I don't even play golf, but I follow her on the course a lot. I enjoy the course. I enjoy the fact that the obstacles forces you to find your way out of it. There's just
uh-huh,
so a
sure,
million ways to play this shot, and that's the challenging part for me. It's not whether she sinks that putt. It's the when it gets under the tree. What are you gonna do? How am I gonna
uh-huh,
fix it? I'm an artist, and I like that. I like fixing that,
sure, yeah,
and I feel proud just for getting that shot out of the tree. She's focusing on how many shots she needs to get there. I feel
uh-huh.
like she's been playing golf for like over 10 years. And I can say this, I followed her at a golf course. I haven't seen her enjoy playing golf.
Sure.
And I
Well, it
think
is, right? It's
that is her biggest obstacle. She just
mm-hmm.
relaxes a bit. But I think that's a problem with a lot of writers. Because if you start out writing thinking you're going to have to make money, you're going to live off it,
Hmm.
um, the pressure is just so much. And it's probably what's stopping you from writing a really touching book, because in the end, it feels like, oh, is this too long? Reader's gonna like it. Do I have a big enough audience for this book? And
Hmm.
the hard part is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and
Hmm.
readers can feel it.
Right.
If you, a lot of people don't read web novels too. A lot of professional writers and are anti web novels and free stuff and fan fiction. And I feel like, read with readership, the heart of it is there. It's
Hmm.
it's knowing people who really enjoy that story right now, while they're reading, and not just buying it because this book is popular, like you said, and
Right.
then reading it. And they sometimes you always have to say, well, this is good because it's so popular.
Uh-huh.
But you
Sure.
don't feel that passion so much with, like, I spend a lot of time in the web novel space. They, in terms of writing skills, I agree. I mean, the stories aren't edited. It's poorly written sometimes, but that's pure heart. These are people who just wake up and I'm just gonna write whatever I want in there.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's a part of why I don't have an imposter syndrome as well.
Uh-huh.
I
Sure.
I've been there. I've
Right.
touched people without being correct. With
Hmm.
English is my second language. I I need an editor all the time. I haven't. The truth is, I haven't had a proper English class. Because by
Uh-huh.
the
Sure.
time I didn't get one when I was here, and I lived abroad with after I was 15. So by then they don't teach you grammar anymore. They probably do that
Hmm.
earlier. So I don't know that structure. Up until a few years ago, I didn't know what nouns and pronouns meant. For real.
Right.
I've written like
Sure.
books in English and I didn't know those rules at all. I'm
Right.
still writing without knowing
Well,
those rules. But I
yeah.
can ask a lot of people enough with my English,
Yeah.
so that they want to translate my writing into
Right.
French,
Sure.
German, and
Well,
Russian. But
yeah.
so you don't have to be perfect, because readers, like when you meet people, none of your friends are perfect, right? They don't speak perfect English. They are
Hmm.
not perfect people. But when you meet someone who has a really big heart, you can love that person despite all their flaws.
Hmm.
So the heart is something that readers really need to love a book. It's not the formality of writing at all. And but if you keep going thinking there are rules in writing, you have to follow these plot points, you
Sure.
have to have a certain structure to it. It's just gonna end up being the exact same thing that people feed into AI. And
Right.
I agree with you.
It becomes
If you write
iterative,
like that,
right?
yeah, be really afraid of AI, because it's
Hmm.
gonna do these structures better than you if you write by structures.
Hmm. Sure. And it's going to do them way faster, right? You're never going to be
Yeah,
able to
it's
speed
gonna do
wise
them way
keep up with
faster.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, but I think it's a funny point. I think it's a great point. Is the whole like when you said like oh I didn't know what a noun and verb was or pronouns or whatever. My son when he was I think this would have been third grade, maybe second grade. He was they were trying to teach him to read and he was struggling a little bit, and we ended up, he was in like a tutor. He's going to the school and things, and we were trying to help him, and he just kind of wasn't getting in. He was acting up a little bit in the school, and then so I started homeschooling him, and uh, and I tried to like get some of the packets that they were teaching English with like the nouns and things. Right? I don't even remember. I know what a noun and verb kind of is offhand, but most of them I can't even tell you anymore. I don't know, but it's like. it actually started to kick in when I stopped doing all of that. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna get a book. We would just read the book together. We would do sight words. Sight words help a lot. Like when they're younger, right? Just, see that kind of those little words in between. And so we just started doing it. And then he entirely learned how to read that way to where to this day he might not be able to say what a predicate is or whatever, right? But he can read and he can write things. And it's just like, I think sometimes when we break it down into these fine nodules, into writing rules and all of these things, you lose the essence of it, right? It's like, it was an old professor I had that used to say we kill to dissect things. So like if you want to dissect a frog, well, you have to kill it first, right? Does
Oh,
that
that's a
teach you
good
anything
analogy.
about the, yeah, and it's like, but you will learn more about the frog observing it out doing a natural frog stuff than you will when you cut it open and stuff. Now, not that, dissection has been important in human history, right? And things. But it's like with art, when you do that, here's the writing rules, and this is how it must start, and it must do this, and you must have characters do this, and da da da. Well, you've actually just killed the thing, and now you're just dissecting it versus what's the magic of it. And I think sometimes the magic is those I don't think they are flaws, but those flaws, right? The things that don't fit exactly right in our brain. I think because our brain loves boxes, we want to fit everything into a box. And when something really touches us, but it doesn't fit exactly, our brain has to make a new place for it. And it thinks overtime on it and goes, wait, what about that? And I think those are the things that stick with you more. Those, oh, it didn't go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It went A, B, F,
Yeah.
and D, and then K. And but for some reason we were compelled and couldn't stop, reading or watching or whatever it was.
Well, that's the mole on Marilyn Monroe, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
You look back at any like, yeah, all kinds of beauty fashions always like there will be like something usually, it's not just like, utter flawlessness, but
that's
um
voice. I feel like
uh-huh.
that's that style, that's voice. That's something I'm very proud of and certain that my readers who have read like my whole book can tell when it's not me writing. So
Right.
I'm not threatened by AI at all. It
Mm-hmm.
cannot produce what I do. It cannot mimic my voice. And even with plot lines, I always say I can tell my readers the plot right
Mm-hmm.
now, but it's not going to be. They're not going to be happy. They don't want to know what happens next. They want me to tell them what happens next. They want to feel those words. And I think for writers, well, at least to me, I think that's the goal I want to reach as a writer. That readers are reading me because of my words, because of the way I say things, not because of my plot line. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that will get you further as a writer because nobody can steal your plot. You can steal the plot of Obsidian right now. Go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not
Oh,
going to
sure.
be what it is.
Right.
A
Well,
lot
I
of my
mean,
readers are not going to love that, or they might love it, but it's still not written by me. It's not my
mm-hmm.
voice.
Right.
So I'm not worried. I'm never worried about my plot being stolen at all. I'll tell anybody, go ahead, write
Sure.
it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'm with you. I always think like for one, I think if you don't want AI to take your job, don't act like AI. So like it's like, like do the things that humans need. AI actually needs us more than we need it, right? They always talk about like without new inputs, it turns into garbage incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I don't need it to write things for me. I mean, I'm with you though. There is uses for it. Actually, this show, like I can feed it into there's an AI program and it'll give me the little short videos that you can share on social media or on YouTube and things. And so it just helps get me the clips and I have to, fix them up a little just to make sure all the logic's there. But I'm like, that's an AI kind of going through and helping me find something that I already did, right? Me and you came on the show and had, conversation and then all it did was go, oh, here's maybe I forget how much it spits out, but let's say here it's 10, possible clips you can have, and
Yeah.
then you fix them however you want. That's a fun use. When you want to use it for anything internet related, if it's you just need SEO, it knows SEO better than humans
Yeah.
do, right? I mean, it's basically speaking its own language to itself. So I think there's lots of great uses for it. If you're using it to write books for you, then you're probably gonna,
Or
I don't know
the
what you're doing it for, but yeah, I mean,
ah,
you're not even a writer, I think, actually at that stage. If it's
I
writing
think the
for you,
money
you're more
sucks.
of a producer.
Yeah, the money
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, if you're not getting enjoyment from writing the damn thing yourself, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
doing it for. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't bake a cheesecake and sell on the streets with, for more money than the
Yeah.
effort that they need to sell a book. It takes years to write a book, and you're
Yeah.
selling for like $1, sometimes not even that, because writers put them out at like 99 cents
Mm-hmm.
before
Yeah.
the cut even.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine what you're actually getting paid per hour. Like the writer is like, well, what we get paid per hour has to be some like, there's no minimum. We're not even close to minimum wage.
No, no.
Right.
I mean, even the
So,
most popular ones, even the most popular authors that you think they're like, I've looked up the money like Stephen King and those top writers make, and if you compare that to business people, it's like tiny. And
right.
this is the people who are at the top of their fields. Like they have
Uh-huh.
like maybe 30 books out they've written
Right.
for like 20 years. And like in 10 years, people who go and do business and are at the top of their fields are making
Mm-hmm.
billions and billions and
Right.
trillions,
Mm-hmm.
not like millions of books. And the money sucks in this industry.
Right.
Uh, yeah, if you don't get any enjoyment out of it per hour, it's
Yeah.
horrible. I don't know why you do it.
Yeah, very, very, very true. In the sake of time here, because I want to make sure we can get to a reading of your book, but I have a special section I like to do with the show before we get there called shots. So I know it's first thing in the morning for you, so you're just drinking tea, but it'll be rapid fire questions, and I'd like to start with a little bit of trivia here. And since we talked about masterpieces, I thought I would give you some trivia on something slightly less than masterpieces. So, have you ever heard of the Golden Raspberry Awards or the
No,
Razzies? So,
no.
it's a satirical awards they started in the 80s that celebrates bad movies. So, and don't worry about the points on this. I do have a leaderboard that I'm going to put up, but they're entirely made up points. And if you get close, I could award random amounts of points just when I go back through. So, so don't worry about the accuracy completely with this. But you'll probably have heard of some of the movies. I would guess. I think they're mostly all bigger actors in movies that's on the list. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So this actress won the 2025 Worst Actress Award for her role as a spider-themed superhero.
Um,
It was like a spider team up.
the superhero. I don't. I don't know.
It was Dakota.
2025.
It was this year she won the Razzie for it. It was a movie with her, and I think there's three. I haven't seen it. It was three other actresses. There was like the four of them, I think. They were all like they were like Spider-Man. But they're not,
I
none of them
have.
has the moniker.
I
Uh,
haven't been paying attention to movies
it's
these
okay.
days, so I know I don't.
Yeah, it's okay. It's Dakota Johnson. It was the Madam Web was the name of the movie. Dakota Johnson also starred in
Oh.
what was that 50 Shades. That
Oh yeah.
those movies and based on the books. Um, so this actress accepted her Razzie in person. So there's actually two of them actually did this. So you have twice the opportunities here. So actress, she won an Oscar prior to winning a Razzie. And so she, in both cases, because two of them, but both cases, she showed up to the Razzie Awards with her Oscar and took the podium and got her Razzie and held up Worst Actress and Best Actress up. And both fairly big name actresses that ended up doing this. Can you name one of them?
No,
No. Well, it was
no. Yeah,
Halle
actually.
Berry did it. Halle Berry
Oh,
won for
really?
Cat. Yeah, she got the Razzie for Catwoman. And she had her Oscar for Monsters Ball. So she showed up. So you can find it
Oh,
online. It's really funny.
I missed
Um,
that. I
yeah,
actually saw both. I didn't.
yeah, yeah.
I
Halle
didn't
Berry
like her
won.
role as the Catwoman. Actually,
I didn't either. I think sometimes they're
yeah,
just having fun. And she had fun with
yeah.
it, so it was really funny. And Sandra
That's
Bullock
really
did the
cool,
same
though.
thing.
I mean, I do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was really fun. Well, because it's meant to have a sense of humor, so it's really cool when they show up and just
Yeah.
like just go in with it. So yeah, Sandra Bullock was the other one that did the same exact thing where I think she won for Blind Side. I forget to write down what she got the Razzie for, but so in 2004, so this actor famously who ended up marrying J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez,
It's,
um, he won a Razzie for this movie, and he said that if enough people rented the movie from Blockbuster Videos, this is 2004, right? When people still went out to the video stores. If enough people rented it, he would donate his Razzie so that to the video store, and people could rent it out. So and he was married. So, and he starred in this with his, geez, they might be married again. I don't know celebrities well enough, but he was married to Jennifer Lopez when they made this movie together.
they made this movie together.
Yeah. So
Um,
you can name the actor or you can name the movie.
I am so bad at this.
It's okay.
I'm
I
actually
always
a movie enthusiast, but I don't know about actresses and actors and what they do at all.
it's
That's
okay.
that.
I always find some weird thing that's not related to everyone to grow you on. So it's part of the theme. But it was Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck was married to Jennifer
Oh
Lopez.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they're married again. I think they got married again, if I
What was the
remember right. But
movie?
Gigli, Gigli. I don't know if it's
Oh no,
pronounced
that one.
Gigli,
Legally,
Geely, something like that. Yeah, it was.
I haven't
Um,
watched
it
it.
yeah, it bombed really bad, and he got flack for it. But yeah, he took it like a champ, and he did enough people rented it, so he sent his Rousey over to the video store. Um, and then the final one for our trivia here. So this film won a record 11 Razzies, swept every category it was nominated in, and won the creator. He won the best actor and, well, I'm sorry, not the best, the worst actor and the worst actress award. So and he's a famous comedian. He's done a billion different comedic movies. So any idea? And so he played two parts. So he played a part of a guy and a part of a girl. That's why he got best
Robin
award.
Williams,
Oh, it wasn't Robin Williams. That's a good guess though, because he's done it too.
comedian. Uh
Did Happy Gilmore, Longest Yard.
oh, what's his name? Ah, I know who you're talking about, but I forgot his name.
Starts with Adam, ends with
Sandler.
Sandler. He got it, Adam Sandler. And the movie was called Jack and Jill. I never even heard of it actually before
I've
I saw that.
heard of
But
that either.
yeah. Awesome. Anyway, so that's it for the trivia here. So now just a few rapid fire questions. Where is your happy place?
The Maldives.
Maldives. Okay. Very good. What's the biggest risk you ever took?
The biggest risk I ever took was releasing my book obsidian.
Very good.
And I can't
Um,
take that back.
that's good. The world doesn't want you to take it back, you know? Have you ever witnessed anything inexplicable?
Explain inexplicable.
Like you can't explain, like it seemed out of this world.
Ah, ghosts. Ghost
Ghosts?
stories.
Oh, I want to hear one. Do you have one you can share?
Oh, that's. Do we have time?
Or
It's
you
almost
can,
serious, a little bit. Well, it's interesting. I grew up Christian because my
Okay.
mom is Christian, and the funny thing is, when I was in college, I had to take religious studies for a one-on-one class. I lost my faith because I had to learn the Bible, and I
Uh-huh.
realized it didn't make sense. So I was an atheist for for a good while. And then my mom always said that, because I'm in a Buddhist country, my mom always said that we are in different realms, between the Buddhists and the and Christians. So we don't see ghosts. You don't see Thai ghosts like
Uh-huh.
other Buddhists. If you're a Christian, you won't see it. I had never seen or experienced anything. My mom had never while we were Christian. And then when I became an atheist, I started seeing, experiencing so many things. My first baby, when she was maybe just one, kept crying and staring at a corner on the ceiling. When I moved, I was in Phuket at one point, opening a branch of my business, and I moved back to Bangkok, and that started happening in my office building because I take her there, and she kept doing that, and she cries a lot. So my mother-in-law, who's Buddhist, said, "Well, maybe you need to give offerings to the house spirits. That's a Thai traditional way. When you move to a new house, they believe there are house spirits that you need to give offerings to, just to sort of introduce yourself to the house spirit that you're here." And we hadn't
Hmm.
done that, and so we did. Oh no, no! Before I did that, I told her that. She said I should, but I still didn't do it. And then one night, well, with something, things like that started happening all the time. Like my babies would just cry, would point at something somewhere. And then one night I was just sleeping next to my husband, and I heard a woman's voice saying, like, "Faye, move over." And I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Move over what?" And I didn't budge. And I felt somebody pulling me, like dragging me off the bed. I almost fell off the bed. I was grabbing onto the headboard, and I woke
Hmm.
up. It was a woman's voice. And so my mother-in-law said, "Yeah, well, you have to do it." And we did. We gave offerings to the house spirit. And after that, it was just, I saw nothing else. Nothing else
Uh-huh.
happened just right after that. So
Uh-huh.
that was like, I'm not
Sure.
sure what's going on there. Like, I
Right.
can't say that I believe in ghosts. And then after my second baby, my son was born, um, while I was pregnant, the ultrasound came back saying he has like a white spot in his heart, and there's a good chance, well, not a good chance, but there is a chance that he might have Down syndrome, because that's like a common thing with for babies with Down syndrome. So I started praying because we had to get that checked out, and got his DNA, got his blood tested. And I started praying again. It's like, well, if the result comes out okay, I go back to being a Christian.
Uh-huh.
And he's fine. So I am now
Good.
a Christian, and since then, like, I had no zero paranormal activities experience.
Right. That's so
So that's an
interesting.
unexplained phenomenon that it's like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. That's interesting. My wife and I, there's have you ever heard of the Queen Mary? You heard of the Titanic, right?
Yeah,
Famously sank. Well, the Queen Mary was like its sister ship.
yeah.
I think it was bigger. And it actually still holds to this day the record for most people on a ship, because they were using it because it was so fast. Even though it was big, it was very fast. So during World War II, they were using it to bring troops over from the Americas here into the European theater. So it was going back and forth, taking troops. And so it's supposed to be haunted. And it's actually somehow, after all of that, the history, it gets sold to a city out here, Long Beach, which is right next to Los Angeles. And so the Queen Mary's there. It's like a hotel and museum. My wife and I went
Mhm.
this past Friday they did a murder mystery theater dinner thing, and then we stayed the night. And we were joking we were gonna bring. My wife was joking to freak our youngest daughter out. She was going, "I'm gonna bring a ghost out. I'm gonna bring a ghost back," you know. No, we've never really like experienced anything like that, but that concept of, oh, you know, you didn't experience anything when you were Christian and things growing up, and then we're like, okay, you know, I don't believe any of this. I'm an atheist, and then suddenly like weird things happen. You know,
Yeah.
that's I always hear that people always go, oh, I never believed, and then I saw this, you know, and yeah, it's funny. It's like the universe is like, oh, really? You don't believe in me? Here I am. You know, you need to roll over. But
Yeah.
anyways, moving on here. What is your most unhinged writing advice?
I, my most what?
Unhinged, like kind of like your most crazy like advice you'd give a writer out there. Not, it doesn't have to be crazy per se, just maybe unorthodox.
It's, it would have to be you write for you, because I think a
Hmm.
lot of people are against that these days. But I
Sure.
feel like that's that's the one most important thing, advice I give writers. But also write fan fiction. That's
Hmm.
another one that a lot of people go, no, if you're an original writer, they're really against it, like using someone else's characters. But fan fiction is something that will grow your characterization skills a lot. Because what happens is
Hmm.
you are forced to study an already established character in detail, write about that character as if they're your own. And the thing is, when you share fan fiction, the fans also know this character and they are vicious. If you get one thing wrong, even like
Sure.
the way this character ties their hair or the color they wear,
Yeah.
they will have at it. They'll throw stuff at you. So
Sure.
it's a good habit. It's a good um, skill growing activity because you are forced to learn about this character. You are forced to read very carefully. I had to read every page very carefully. I have to list out the things that I think this character would do, and then you grow from that. And when that becomes a habit, you do it with your own character. When you have your
Right.
original character, like I can, there are people who say, well, you have to mention the character's name at the beginning of the chapter if you have a multiple point of view. Have you heard of that rule? Like
I've
within
heard
the
of
first
some.
two paragraphs, you have to mention a name so it doesn't confuse people. I
Hmm.
don't have to do that. Like I know my character well enough from my experience of writing fan fiction. Like I know exactly that this character will say this thing in this way, and once your characterization gets that good, your readers will know as well, just by the words that they use to say something.
Hmm.
It should be that clear. It should be that strong. You should not have to. That's my belief. You should not have to say who's speaking this. I mean, when you have a friend, you really know. You can tell
Hmm.
when somebody's faking. If they're in your friend's body and he starts talking to you, you'll know that this is not
Hmm.
my friend. This is someone else, even if they
Hmm.
have the same voice. So I feel like that's what I got from fan fiction. And original writers usually don't know their characters that well. I mean, I don't. If I hadn't done that homework, like, as a habit,
Sure.
um, I don't think I would be able to do it to to ace characterization the way I think I have that I am able to do right now. So that is, yeah, my weird writing.
Yeah,
Write
yeah,
fan
like,
fiction every
right.
once in a while.
Right. That's what, you know, what it reminded me of is that like Michelangelo, a lot of these old like artists and things, they started with their master, and you started by copying your master. You know, like your mentor, like then that was the thing. You emulated them to where you could basically recreate what they did before you
Yeah.
create your own style. So I can kind of see that same concept with writing fan fiction as like, okay, you already have this masterwork. You're gonna go to where you can emulate that really great and then kind of create your own, your own works from there. So I can see the efficacy in that. All right. And then final one here. Speaking of AI, I always like to ask our AI overlord question of the day. So this one I think was, I forget actually, I was going to say Chat GPT, but I'm actually not sure if I used that or not. But so our question from the AI overlord is, if you could have one item from your fictional world and our real one, no strings, no curses, what would you bring and what whiskey would you pair it with?
I don't drink whiskey, so for one thing.
You can skip the whiskey part of it. I think AI knew it was for this show, so they're like, I have to throw whiskey in. The questions are always very long and kind of
Yeah.
needlessly wordy, but
But okay, repeat the question again. It's like,
so if you could have one item from your fictional world, and
yeah,
here in the real world, so what would that be?
an item from my fictional world. There is from from obsidian. My well, my MC has an obsidian arrowhead, a bone arrowhead, not obsidian actually, that she used to um she shot her lover with. He stole her horse, and that's how they met. She shot him with a bone arrow. But it was
Uh-huh.
supposed to be made of obsidian, and it should have gone through and he should have died. But the arrow was switched
Uh-huh.
into bone, so he didn't die, and she ended up carrying that bone arrow with her all the time. Uh, that's probably the most important object from the series that I would
Uh-huh.
really like to keep. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you for that. So that'll do our shots. Did you have something you could read for us today?
Yes, I have to say I suck at this. I've never read my stories out loud, so
Uh-huh.
yes, I have a passage. It was difficult to choose. So I chose the most highlighted passage that pretty much says everything
Okay.
about what Obsidian is about.
Okay.
So do I begin now?
Go ahead. Yep. That'd be great.
Um, here you go. Everyone broke eventually, one way or another. Some broke into weapons, other into pieces. Some lived, some took another life. Some died, bringing to life monsters and beasts. The world made room for these things. It made room for change when one wished for change, for courage when one chose to face its consequences, for love and desire when life demanded vengeance, for kindness and compassion when one drew the line between humans and beasts. That was the most highlighted passage from book one.
Okay.
And what it means to me is that, well, this book is called Obsidian because it's, a lot of people think it's for the color. It's not, it refers to the property of the volcanic glass that must first be broken to form a weapon. It gets surgical sharp when it's broken. So this is a story about resilience. It's about people. These seven characters will get broken and they'll break into something better than when they were whole.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I want to share with the world, because life will break you one day. For younger readers, you may not feel that way, but eventually it will. That will come. You will always come to the point where nobody is there to help you, and you just have to get through this somehow. And there is a sentimentality that a lot of people victimize themselves these days. But you gotta be a survivor, not a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And this passage explains the whole book, because this main character is, well, he was taken as a slave when he was 10 into the pleasure district, and he had a choice between being used all his life, or being good at what he does and rising to the top and actually gain some control over his life. And I feel like that's the choice. That's what the passage means. We always have a choice of breaking into pieces or breaking sharper than when we were whole.
Mm-hmm.
But the next paragraph is also about the availability of that choice. Sometimes you feel like we really don't have a choice, and everything that we decide to do, there are rules for things. There are characters in this book who feel like she has to avenge her family, but even while she needs to do that, there are rooms for compassion still. There are rooms for courage if you feel like this. There are rooms for courage if you choose to face the consequence. I feel like a lot of life is about that. When you ask me before, like the risk I've taken and stuff, it's not that I'm brave. It's that I'm just willing to take the consequences of my action. As long as you are willing to do that, you'll find courage.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whenever you feel that you don't have a choice, you do. You just have to be prepared for what happens after you've made that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can do that, you can do whatever you want in life. You will have that freedom. And freedom comes with the willingness to take the consequences of your actions. And I feel like that's a very important message. I'm not sure if my readers feel it. That's why they highlight this passage a lot. I feel that's a life-changing point of view that will give a lot of people the courage to do what they want to do, even though it may lead to an undesirable outcome. It's right. a good life when you have that freedom. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I think it's an important point, right? Is that freedom is, is the ability to choose, right? It isn't the freedom from consequences, because whatever you do has some consequence to it, right? Every action has a reaction to it. So I think that's an important message. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I always like to kind of say at the end here, it's last call. You don't have to go, but you'll have to restart the video. And the question I like to leave us off with is, what do you think is next? Like, so what's the next for what's the future of storytelling, kind of literature, books here, in general?
To be honest, I feel like eventually everything with AI being in play, eventually we'll get to the point where we don't have writers anymore. We will just have creatives who feed stories into AI and get a movie out of it. It could just be me, but when I write stories, it's because I want to express this image in my head that I cannot draw, I cannot make a movie, but it is in movie format.
Mm-hmm.
If somehow I feel like if we have access to that tool in the right and legal way, I hope, that it's not stealing from our artists. But if it's possible, and I feel like it can be possible, eventually, like, I feel like most people would watch movies or it just be me. And writers would probably love that the most, being able to
Hmm.
put that imagination into movies and then edit that
Have
instead
it
of having to
have it create
describe
the things.
with
Yeah.
words. Maybe it won't go away completely, but I feel like if that tool becomes available, we'll have fewer books. We'll have more indie movies that
Sure.
anyone creates. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I think that's a really interesting way because I don't think books will ever go away completely
Yeah.
because they could have already, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
tons of TV and film and especially when you start thinking of all of the different I know people in America, I know my wife started watching Korean dramas like, a couple years back now, but right. But you start thinking about all the films and TV and stuff
Yeah.
around the world, you could not read another book again and have all the entertainment you ever wanted just for with what's already created. But with now with all of the people that the glut of all the books out there, I'm sure a lot of those people would much rather, make a little independent movie. Um, and I think indie movies I think will benefit a lot from AI. I think there's just the figuring out the ethical components to some of it. I think is maybe holding some people back, but it's coming, right? I mean, I don't think there's
Yeah.
ever been.
I don't know if you feel it too, but I feel like there's been a decline of writing skills lately. If you
Sure.
compare it to older books, I feel
Hmm.
like a lot of newer books are written like scripts now because everyone's seeing it in movie format.
Hmm.
And so, what is irreplaceable about book writing is gone. It's well, not completely, but
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
gone. Because what you don't get from movies are the beauty of the written words, maybe the
Hmm.
stuff that characters think about but don't say it out loud. Because in movies,
Hmm.
you only get
Right.
what they say. You don't get what's in their head, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's pretty much lost in modern writing, where a lot of writers are not encouraged to write that long or getting into the character's head. It's a
Hmm.
lot of newer books are written ready to be turned into movies without having to rewrite so much. So there's just one dialogue after another, um,
Hmm.
and it's got good reception as well. So the old style writing is pretty much gone, and if the newer style are accepted, but that's in movie format, in script format, as soon as we have the ability to make movies with it, it's at least those books will turn into movies. And
Hmm.
I'm
Sure.
trying to save this old style, old writing style. I have to say this. I am always against um, writing advice,
Hmm.
more modern writing advice, because that's not why I do.
Because most of it's garbage.
Yeah,
Most
that's
modern
not
writing
my
advice,
opinion.
that's
That's like, I
kind of
if I
nonsense, but
I'd rather watch movie. If you're gonna write it like a script, I'm gonna
right,
go watch movie. It takes 2 hours,
right,
not
right,
like three
exactly.
days.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, so
I'm
I
with you.
feel like
I
there's
think I think that's what good could come out of it actually is there's there's frankly there's too much books now, right? There's lots of books out there that are people that aren't serious, about it, right? It's to be nice, but there's lots of just people that just flood stuff out there. Um and AI will be able to flood it faster, so that'll kill off a lot of that ambition just to try to produce content. And then if they can make those independent movies, I think they will go to that. So maybe it'll reduce the number of books down, and then you'll start seeing it's that noise and signal. You start seeing the ones that are really are meant to be books that are it's supposed to be an expression, a literary expression, and not just I'm telling you a story in this format because I think I can sell it, or because it's expensive to make a movie, and
yeah.
being able to do it with AI, especially if you can do something passable and fun with an indie budget, I'm sure a lot of people would
Good.
gravitate to that.
it
Yeah.
could improve the majority of books that are left standing,
Hmm.
but will get paid less.
I'm sure. I'm sure. That's how it
Because
always
the movie
goes. Yeah.
industry is always going to be bigger and the money is going to
Uh-huh.
go there.
Yeah.
Even now, I mean, with audiobooks, right, being
Yeah.
on the rise,
Uh-huh.
that's
Sure.
close to movies. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't read now; they listen.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Sure.
but that's stealing from our pile of
Yeah.
money as well if you stay a writer. So that's probably coming, and all the more reason to write for your enjoyment
Yeah.
because the future is not certain.
Yeah. This is true. This is true. It's a wild ride,
The
but
money sucks, and it might even be it might get worse.
that's the good news. But awesome. Well, thanks so much, for coming on. It was a real pleasure getting a chance to meet with you and chat with you. If people want to learn more, I have your website. I can certainly link that up. Is there anywhere else you would point them to?
It's siennafrost.com.
Oh, I have the website. Was there
Yeah.
anywhere else you would point people to? Any social media, anything you
Oh,
want to direct them to?
I'm on Twitter most often. Sienna Frost without an O. That's my handle for both Twitter and X
Hmm.
and Instagram. So those are the two platforms that I'm most, that I frequent. Twitter or X most of all. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then
Okay.
if you are a reader of Obsidian, I call them, and if you love it, uh, I call them my family. We have a little Discord channel. You'll find out about that in the book, how to join. And it's just a bunch of people who just really love the characters in this series, just chatting,
Hmm.
whatever. We're like a tight family group, not a huge
Hmm.
community, but yeah, it's a
Uh-huh.
safe space for readers of Obsidian.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. And thanks again. And thank you to the parrot back there. It's been fun watching them. Watching her moving around. I was like, oh,
Over
this is
too.
good.
Yeah. I've never been here this early in the morning. So he's, what's mommy doing here?
I'm sure. I'm sure. But awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a really fun morning, afternoon for you.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, if you'd like to support the show, the very best way is to join us over on Substack. Rather than Patreon, we have a Substack. You can go on there to subscribe for free, or you can do the paid subscription. We gives you a bunch of extra special perks, and you'll be able to follow along with Pirates of Appalachia. This week we are on chapter 18. Mom always said to be mindful of their type, where Cole and Keat are confronted deep in the caves of Appalachia with a hate walker, now more human form, and they have to kind of contend with that. And it gets a little perilous. So check us out over there. You can read everything from the beginning. So if you haven't started, if you haven't joined the crew yet, you can go over there, jump on the prologue and read straight up to chapter 18 while the new chapter out every week. So thanks so much for everything. Or you just stick here and watch more Brothers Drinking Whiskey on the YouTube box. We appreciate you either way. Thanks so much and cheers, everybody.